neighbors, right?
Oh my.
Several motorcycles, patrol cars.
Right.
Dave Chris's uniform comes out just strutting. He's just proud as can be. But again, he came over to me and rubbed the wings on my uniform and the insignia for a motorcycle officer.
Right.
How can I be a motorcycle officer? I wish I could be a motorcycle officer. And I teased him. I told about the training we're doing. I said, only if they had a motorcycle, Chris, we would touch you right now.
Right.
Step ahead of me. Goes in the house, comes riding out on a little battery-operated motorcycle his mother had got for him in place of a wheelchair.
Oh my.
He's got the helmet on, the aviator glasses, and he runs through the course, comes back. Did I pass? Yes, you did, Chris. When do I get my wings? The wings are special order also. I said, it's going to take a couple days. He gets to stay home again that night. I order the wings. 2 days later, I get a call. Chris is in the hospital in a coma. He's probably not going to survive the day.
Oh no.
I got permission to go to the hospital. His uniform is hanging right by his bed. Just as I pinned on the wings, Chris comes out of the coma. He looks at me, he grins. Am I a motorcycle officer now? Yes, you are, Chris. His wish had become true. He asked for his uniform. He's rubbing the wings. He's showing his mother. He's just laughing. A couple hours later, he passed away. And I was
my.
maybe those wings helped carry him to heaven. Now, our commanders learned that he was going to be buried in a little town called Kewanee, Illinois. And they asked me and another motorcycle officer to go back and give him a full police funeral. They said, we have lost a fellow officer. This young boy was sworn in as a police officer at 7 years old. And will we go back and give him a funeral? Which we did. What was amazing, Stephen, is the TV stations are now picking this up. Phoenix, the Chicago stations, the Iowa stations, Illinois stations. And when we got to the little town of Kewanee, we were met by Illinois State Police, City Police, County Police, all to give this boy a full police funeral. And he was buried in uniform. His grave marker reads, Chris Gracious, Arizona Trooper. But coming home, I just started thinking, this little boy had a wish and we made it happen. Why can't we do that for other children? And that's when the idea of the Make-A-Wish Foundation was born, somewhere 36,000 feet over Kansas or something.
Wow. That chokes me up, Frank. That is wonderful and it's amazing. And that gives a little bit more for me because I'm involved with a health and nutrition company, and that every time I make an order, down at the bottom there's a thing that I can click on. It says whatever I want to donate to Make-A-Wish Foundation. And to me, a story like that becomes it's one of those that I'm involved with the what we call up here social profit, the nonprofit sector. I've been in the executive direction in the executive positions with two nonprofits here. One was with it's called the Center of Hope. It is a daytime drop-in center for the homeless. And now with Waypoints, which helps women that are fleeing domestic violence, along with other things. And what we conduct, along with United Way, is what's called Seeing is Believing tours. And it makes what we do more real to those who are donating. And for you to share that story with me it's that seeing or hearing. And I'm visualizing this, it is a tremendous thing. And as well, back last year in Las Vegas, as part of this company that I'm involved with, they had a young boy that came out on stage, part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And he had cystic fibrosis. And I have some friends that have passed away because of that. But the Make-A-Wish gave him a trip to Florida, not Florida, but Hawaii. Yeah. And that's what he wanted. He wanted a personalized surfboard. They got him for that to meet a top-notch surfer, as well as the whole family going to Hawaii. And those things right there are what makes it real. So, Frank, I am really so thankful you shared that story with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, that makes it really real for me. You talk about some things, but the power of a wish, and I think you've described that already. But talk a little bit more about what does it mean to you about the power of a wish, and what does it do?
Well, the best example is and it took me about 6 months to get the foundation going. I had no idea how do I start a foundation. I'm a police officer. I don't know enough about nonprofit. And our first wishes were for terminal children. That was the idea of the foundation, because the leukemias and that were death sentences, and the children did not survive it. Then we changed the mission about 20 years ago now to children with life-threatening illnesses, because through the grace of God and modern medicine, about 70% of the children are in fact surviving these life-threatening illnesses. But the power of a wish, we'll get a doctor. There's a child that has a wish that they want to do. All of a sudden, the doctor will say, listen, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to do it within a month or so. This child is not going to survive. And he's strong, or he or she is strong enough right now to do that wish. So we call what's called a rush wish. And we will get everything going, put everything else on the side to get the wish for this child. I can't tell you how many times I've witnessed personally the child and the family go on a wish, the child comes back, and they go in complete remission. And I've been in a study with doctors several years ago. They can't explain it. And I said, I can. This child found out that there's something to live for besides IVs, hospital beds, and just say, you know what, I'm tired of this thing. I got too much to do, and go in remission.
Absolutely.
And it's so much fun because I speak all over the nation now, and I do meet and greets afterwards. And so many people will come up to me and they'll say, I'm the mother, father, aunt, uncle, brother, sister of a wish child. But then I'll have a full adult come up and say, I am a wish child. And I get to meet them and hear their story. And that's a payback to me to do that.
That's fantastic. Frank, in your journeys and in your travels, what has stood out to you as far as when you've met these people? What are some of the things they've said, or some of the things they've done, or what anything particular stand out to you in meeting with these people?
Well, the biggest one just recently, there's so many after obviously 38 years.
Right.
But just recently, and you mentioned the Wishman movie that we completed last October and just wrapped up post-production a couple of weeks ago. But I was hired for the movie as a consultant producer, technical advisor, location scout. And as a consultant producer and technical advisor, every morning when we went on the set, first person I met was the script supervisor, lovely young girl. And our job then was to go over the script for the day, the dialogue, the settings for the day, make sure everything was right. So when the rest of the crew and actors came in, everything fit. And after about 3 days, all of a sudden she came to me in the morning and she just started crying and gave me a great big hug. And I said, Kennedy, what's wrong? She said, I'm a wish child.
Oh my.
And now I even get tears right now thinking about that. She knew what the movie was about. She knew everything. And when she was 14 years old, little girl from Artesia, New Mexico, her wish was to learn the film business, especially as a script supervisor.
Wow.
She was too ill to do this, not even a rush wish thing. When she was 17, she was finally able to go Make-A-Wish, New Mexico, sent her to Las Vegas, a film school, where she started studying. From there, she was picked up as an intern in Hollywood as a script supervisor. One day, the regular script supervisor didn't show up. The director said, the job is yours. That was 4 years ago, and she's been working ever since. Just this lovely young lady. What a great story for her.
Wow, it is. That's almost like a Paul Harvey's The Rest of the Story.
I didn't think of that one. You're right.
Well, that dates me too, doesn't it? Oh my. So this is High Performance Leadership, Coach on Fire with Stephen Bryant, our special guest tonight, Frank Shankwitz. And Frank, again, just love having you on the show tonight. I want to talk a little bit about a couple of things. One is imagination and creativity. What does that mean to you?
Well, imagination go back from childhood, right?
Right.
Cowboy, fireman, a policeman, a rodeo star, whatever it might be. And creativity, just some of those things, make it happen. Make it happen. If that's your dream, follow it and try and make it happen.
So would you say that the Make-A-Wish is a lot about those who really want to do it, but they haven't been able to do it because of their sickness? Like, I'm going back to this young boy, Chris, who this is what I want to be, and you make it happen.
Well, yeah, and there's no monetary limit status for the background for the families, no matter if they're rich, poor, middle. I mean, it's about the child, but it's also about the families. That we wanted to make sure in our original charter that we wrote that it will include the whole family. The whole family is going through everything this child is, going through the hospitals, the doctors. And we want to send them, it's like a Disney wish, for example. Send them to Disneyland where they don't have to worry about a thing. The cost of a hot dog, everything is provided for them, transportation, lodging, etc. But just to make all of this happen, and it takes a lot of people to make that happen, a lot of people.
So how's imagination and creativity help you in your life?
Again, to reach the goals. I except one of them. In high school, I thought I was going to be a rodeo bull rider and tried that for a while. Yeah, so that imagination never created out.
Well, I was going to say, go ahead.
But the imagination of associated like Make-A-Wish, trying to imagine what the child wants, the different categories. And that's why we came up with, I want to meet, I want to see, I want to have, I want to be, those 4 categories for a child of the wish. And that was our board members trying to think, just what you're saying, what would a child imagine? We're trying to go back to our childhood, trying to think what that would be, and then to make that happen.
Yeah. I was going to say, talking about being in the Air Force, I grew up in the era of the F-4 Phantoms, and that was what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a fighter pilot on an F-4 Phantom. Unfortunately, I didn't pass the physical for AFIs, so then by God's grace, I became a pastor. So I was a pastor for about 20 years, and then got involved with nonprofit agencies that help those that need help. So one of the things as I was looking at and your books, is one of the things I want to do really is to get a hold of one of your books, and where I was executive director with an organization that helps the homeless, is get those books into their hands. And
we can make that happen. I just picked up a new publisher. We just finished the contracts. They're going to, in fact, have the new book out. A lot of new stories added to it, photographs, a little better quality, and that will be available in a couple of weeks. The Kindle version is on Amazon right now. The paperback will be coming out in a couple of weeks, and then the end of this month, the hardback cover will be coming out. And you just let me know where to send it, and I'll send one to you.
I will, Frank. Thank you so much. That's great. We're talking with Frank Shankwitz, founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation. One of the things that I've got into, you're probably familiar with John Maxwell, got involved with his team and with certification of leadership and coaching. So to you, Frank, what is leadership all about?
Setting an example. And I learned that again from my grade school years. If you're leading somebody, if you're trying to tell people what to do it better than they are, but also be there with them. For instance, at Motorola, as engineer, I had all sorts of girls working for me, and they work overtime like on a Saturday. I didn't have to go in, but I would. I'd go in there and get on the line with them. I would do the inspections with them, and they appreciated that. Lead by example.
I remember working in retail actually before I became a pastor, and I remember a supervisor. I remember him to this day. His name was Dick McKean, and I was up in the office doing some paperwork. He came up and said, "Steve," he said, I realize that you need to do the paperwork, but you know what would be good for you? He says, get down on the floor and start rubbing shoulders with those who are stocking shelves. Those are putting meat in the counter. Those are putting bread on the shelves. Those are stocking milk on the shelves. He said, rub shoulders with them. He said, they will appreciate you more than if you're up here, doing paperwork. And that's one of the things that Yeah.
And I spoke at Make-A-Wish Gala events all over the country,